from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine
And everything in between. This is Legends Lookback.
After not having traveled much of last year, really making up for it this year. Had quite a few cross-country trips. The other day for our trip to Arkansas, my wife, we were in a bind in terms of we got to get these tickets scheduled and we got to get them as cheap as we can because flying cross country, oh man, it is not easy to do, not cheap at all. And she booked us our layover. Our connecting flight was in Denver, which if you're doing the math here, or the cartography, I guess that's the better term, geographically, this episode is me just for an hour searching for the right vocabulary word for this term. Going from Massachusetts to Arkansas, you shouldn't have to go to Denver. In fact, it's way out of the way, but we did. And Freddie, I know you're a guy who gets around in terms of very familiar with the airports. You ever done the Denver thing?
Yeah, I've flown into Denver a number of times.
It's kind of a weird
usually,
place.
Yeah, it's usually like the kind of the hub from California to basically the rest of the U.S.
Is it?
I've stopped. Yeah, so every time I've been to Orlando for Celebration, always stop in Denver, always see the 501st, everybody there at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
And New York, same thing. Always flying into what I call XR Coon's temple.
So to get everybody up to speed on what we're talking about here, I'm walking my kids through the airport. We're going off to find some fried chicken or maybe some gummy bears, airport food. And I see something down in this weird concourse area in between the food court over here and then the gummy bear store over there and souvenirs. And there's this huge open area, and then down below is the train that takes you from terminal to terminal. And I look down and I see this, it's weird architecture. It looks kind of like ancient ruins. And I was like, hold up, kids, I got to take a picture of this and send it to Freddie. And I just remember as soon as I posted it thinking, Freddie's going to love this. Now, I believe the caption was something along the lines of Denver Airport out here thinking it's an ancient Jedi temple or something. And Freddie, do you remember what your response was in all caps?
I do. Well, not entirely, but it's something along the lines of, I'm getting some XR Coonish vibes from this.
Yeah, it was definitely, Exar Kun definitely would love to go through the Denver airport. And the best part about that, Freddie, we've been podcasting together for 2 years at this point, nearly, a week or two away from our 2-year anniversary. I didn't get you anything,
Yeah.
Sorry. I love that as soon as I saw this and posted it on Instagram, I thought, Freddie's going to see that. I know you're a busy man with grad school and a full-time job, demanding job at this point in life, but I knew, as soon as I posted it, I knew, Freddie, that you were going to love the fact that I saw something Legends in the Denver airport. And
Something about the Force was just drawing me to look at Instagram at that exact moment.
the beautiful thing about it is you have seen it and thought it long before I ever did.
Yeah.
You've seen the exact same thing. Well, I know that we've got some really fun stuff on the docket for our show tonight. We've got new team members. We've got incredible content. In fact, we are finishing off a 3-part crossover event in our first live return to the air, and I could not be more excited for all that we've got. We've got some amazing people hanging out with us here in the chat, so without further ado, let's start the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Lookback, proudly part of the Youtini Podcast Network, a Star Wars books show for people whose favorite song is the AOL dial-up tone, where we celebrate our rich EU history as well as diving into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I thought about changing the intro to a Star Wars show for all of the outdated and irrelevant content in the galaxy far, far away, but I don't think it's going to make the final cut. But regardless of whether or not it does, I'm your host, Jared Mays, and I'm joined once again by my rad California co-host, Freddie C. What's up, Freddie?
You've got mail.
Do I? Oh, how exciting. So glad I waited an hour and a half for that.
It was worth it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about this show because, as you heard in behind the scenes, we've got a couple of interesting people that I think you're all going to want to meet. So I think we should just, you all know me. Let's hop to the fun people now.
That's right. Well, we've been on
Noobs.
hiatus for a couple of months here, and we've been putting together some new stuff behind the scenes. We're always looking to improve here at Legends Look Back. I had some buddies over the Discord the last couple of weeks saying they've been catching up on older episodes, and I was like, proceed at your own risk. Some of our earlier episodes, hey, we were still figuring this out as we went.
It's rough.
And, it's amazing to see how far we've come. We've got some amazing content planned for the weeks to come, and to help us get there, we've got a new producer. My buddy from college, Rick Grace. How are you, Rick? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I'm super excited to be here and to get the show going.
Excellent. Rick, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got hooked up with Youtini?
Yeah, so been a Star Wars fan a long time, like everybody, right? And about 6 or 7 years ago, I started really deep diving into the EU. And Jared and I are college friends, like you said, and so I would ask him questions because I knew from a weird social media thing that he was a deep Star Wars fan. It's another story for another time.
What?
Remember this whole Twitter thing we talked about? How I got your tweets to my phone directly because I didn't know how to turn it off, and so I got every single one of your tweets. And so he just said something about Star Wars books, and I was like, oh, maybe he knows something. So anyway, I asked Jared some advice. He got me set up, and then along came Youtini, and Youtini was a big part of my learning and growth as a fan of the EU. And so I've just been, kind of in the shadows being a fan and reading the guides, listening to the podcast, using the website, the bookshelf, all that kind of stuff. And so there's an opportunity for me to join the team, and I was all about that. And so now I'm here, and I'm excited to give back to the team and the community that has been a part of my fan experience.
Awesome. Also joining us this week, we've also got our newest co-host, newest team member here at Legends Look Back. Of course, somebody who knows more about Youtini than almost all of us because she was in on the old school book box days of the company. And if you don't know what we're talking about, well, that just shows that you're new around here. Well, we've also got joining us this week Emily Daybeck. How are you, Emily?
I'm doing well. I was told not to talk before I was introduced, but apparently I'm not very good at following directions. So thank you for bearing with me. I got too excited, and I just had to share immediately. So thanks for bearing with me. My Star Wars journey actually began with Youtini. I have never known a Star Wars fan day without it. Corey was actually my neighbor, and I helped stuff the book boxes like way back in the day when we were still doing that. And as a result, that's what got me into Star Wars. So I'm a pretty new Star Wars fan, only been a fan for about 3 years or so. And most of my experience is in canon, but I'm really curious about Legends, and I think
Boot
I'm
her off.
not alone.
Take her off the show, Rick.
I know I'm wildly unprepared for most of these conversations, but I don't think I'm alone. So if you too are new to Legends, then you are not alone. I will ask all the stupid questions, and you can laugh at me as much as you want. I won't be offended. Very happy to be here.
Well, we actually really want that perspective, and one of the things we love about Legends Look Back is, you've got folks like Trevor who know every last random short story that was ever produced on a website that was then immediately debunk the next day that only he has the link to. The people who are so incredibly in the weeds that, well, they start their own Star Wars podcasts. But we also want to be the kind of show where people who are new to Legends can feel like this is accessible and that they are accepted. We want to be the most positive and friendly expanded universe podcast on the internet. And if we're not, well, we might just get there. And really excited about this new team. Let's talk about our recent acquisitions. We've been off the air for 2 months. Surely we've got some new stuff to talk about here. In fact, Emily, I can see that you're modeling your new recent acquisition, and I'm a little bit on that line between jealous and frustrated because up until 5 minutes ago, I thought you were wearing one of our trademark Legends Look Back logo T-shirts, which is the exact same color palette.
Yes, well, it
but
had to be
tell
on
us
brand.
about what you got.
Yeah. So this was actually a shirt that appeared in the laundry in our laundry machine. Somehow it got lumped in with a friend of ours who was coming through. We live in a very small Army base in Fort Irwin, California, and we have a lot of rotating soldiers that come through, and he just needed to do some laundry, and then he said, hey, I've got this shirt. I've got your shirt. Can I just drop it off? And he came to the door with this shirt, which is definitely not my husband's shirt. In no way, shape, or form would he ever wear this out in public. And so, he was about to go and, throw it away. And I was like, actually, if you're not going to try to like find the actual owner, I will happily take a Rocket Power vintage t-shirt. It's like straight up Nickelodeon brand too. There's no like off brand, like the tag says it. I'm really pumped.
That's so great.
And it was free.
That is so awesome.
Wiggity, wiggity, wiggity.
Yeah.
Oh, you beat me to it, Freddie. I was about to say. I've only got one thing to say to that. What about you, Freddie? What you got to show off?
Well, I don't have it with me at the moment, but it's not Star Wars related, although it makes me look like some sort of Star Wars character. I just finished up my scuba lessons, and so I had to buy all that equipment. So I've got.
Oh man.
Yeah, it kind of took a hit in the Star Wars realm of purchases, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping to pick it back up now.
Well, maybe you could discover like an underwater colony of people who have like rabbit ears and also huge teeth underwater while you're scuba diving, right?
I could find that, or the raw edit of the holiday episodes.
maybe that's under there. What were those whale creatures from the what was that book we read? Jedi Prince? Weren't there whales? Whalodons?
Whalodons, yeah.
Maybe you'll find them down there. Oh my goodness. How about you, Rick? Any recent acquisitions here for the segment that we need to get like a fancy transition with some custom artwork one of these days that we call Thracken's Thrift Store? You got anything for Thracken's Thrift Store, Rick?
Yeah, so I did get a few things over this past week. I finally got caught up on some of the essential legends that were in the stores for the second wave, and so I'm getting some more of those. And I don't have them in front of me, and I think it's smart for me to stay in my chair. You probably don't know this if you're watching this tonight, but we did a soft test last week, and I got up from my chair, unplugged my router, and killed the stream. So I'm just going to stay right where I am. Accidentally, yes.
Not intentional.
So I got a bunch this week, but I don't have it in front of me right now. But I will say
Cool.
I did finish collecting the Dark Forces books, and they're right there if you can see my bookshelf. It's just one of them. The other two are behind it, but I got all three. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
I spent like at least half of my run this afternoon thinking about how much I want to get hardcover copies of the Dark Forces books. It's one of those thoughts that you seeded into my brain and I can't shake.
I'm sorry.
It's latched on and it's not going anywhere, but I'm trying to curb my impulses because we currently have, like a leaky roof and a broken down minivan. Our washing machine isn't working.
Oh.
So it's like, adult responsibilities are going to have to take precedence over Star Wars. But I did make some purchases before those adult responsibilities came along. So I've got the next wave of the Essential Legends collections. Oh, I love how floppy these suckers are. I got Rogue Squadron here. My one gripe with this one is the side banner is a little bit off-center. I feel like it would be really petty for me to send in an email that I want a replacement copy. But I might do it. Haven't decided yet. Regardless, it is gorgeous. I've opened it and flipped through it because it contains the single greatest opening line in a Star Wars book. You remember this when we covered this like 2 years ago, Freddie?
Yes.
Do you remember what the first line is off the top of your head?
I don't remember it.
All right.
What is it? What is it?
It says, "You're good, Corrin, but you're no Luke Skywalker."
That's right.
That's a good. We also have Darth Xana, not Darth Hannah. Emily. She called her Darth Hannah on accident the other day.
I definitely did.
Darth
My
Xana
bad.
looking like she's got some dreadlocks, which is kind of cool. Here on the cover, I love the yellow color scheme. Anyway, also Dark Force Rising and The Last Command. Now I've got all four of this wave sitting right here next to me on my Legends shelf. I've got like a Legends showcase shelf with some of my like more collectible Legends books and items, and like my Watto cup topper. And, man, they look great. Excellent. Absolutely excellent on the shelf. Really happy to have them. Also got some canon things in the mail the other day. I'm hoping I can carve out some time this weekend. Life's been busy, but it's feeling like it's going to be a reading Star Wars kind of weekend. Got the Edge of Balance, the new manga, and the Life Day Treasury. But I think I'm going to save this for a little bit later in the holiday season. I feel like I need like a cup of... What's Luke's favorite drink? Freddie, you remember?
Well, let's see. There's what did he mention? Oh, goodness, I'm.
This is like the most iconic Legends drink there is, Freddie. Come on.
Well, I mean, there's. He didn't like blue milk.
It's just
He
hot
didn't like blue
chocolate.
milk.
It's the whole
He
thing
just
in the
hot
Thrawn
chocolate.
trilogy. Luke is
He
so
just
edgy,
wants-
he drinks hot
it's-
chocolate.
it's not like hot calf. It's not blue milk, right? He just wants his good old fashioned hot chocolate.
He's a good boy, Luke Skywalker in Legends, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not milking it out of any animals or anything. He's getting it the old-fashioned way, out of the drawer in the Millennium Falcon. Well, you know what you can't find in the drawer in the Millennium Falcon? The Legends news that we've got to bring to you this week. Hey, nothing like being off the air for 2 months to have some groundbreaking news about ancient and relevant content. Am I right? Why don't you throw up the first bit of news here for us, Rick? That is, we had a huge news drop a week ago, just getting ready for the Legends Lookback relaunch, and that is we've got a remake of Knights of the Old Republic headed our way at some point. We don't know the release date at this point. Guys, have you all played KOTOR?
Yeah, I definitely haven't played it as much as I've played Star Wars Galaxies, which I still play to this day. But KOTOR is another one of those classics that I definitely love playing, and I'll never forget the first time I played it. I was in the cantina just gambling as much as I could.
Yeah, with Pazak. We've been back on the show for, if you're keeping count, 25 minutes, and Freddie has already mentioned Star Wars Galaxies. So congratulations if you're playing along at home. Rick, have you ever played KOTOR? Are you excited for the new one?
So I'm actually playing it right now for the first time through because I wasn't a gamer when I was a kid for some stupid reason, and growing up, I had like a couple consoles, but I was like Halo or bust or something, and then before I played Spyro on the PlayStation, that was about it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm playing through right now on mobile and excited about that. Hopefully I don't get stuck in like the first 30 minutes, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, if you make it past Terrace, I would say that you would have already progressed past more than half the people who have ever played KOTOR, because it does take a while, but it's worth it. It's so worth it, because, man, when you get off Terrace, then redacted. All right, I won't tell you because it's amazing. Emily, KOTOR, what's your take?
I'm not much of a gamer. My gaming experience started with Nintendo 64 and it ended with the Game Boy SP. So, very narrow window. But if it's cool enough, I'm not against playing it. But we don't have a PS5, we have an Xbox. So I don't know that we would be able to really play that. But I might talk to Rick about the mobile thing. I might be convinced.
Yeah, it's cheap on iPad and iPhone. It's also on Steam as well, the original. Obviously, the remake isn't done yet. Basically, the spiel with the remake is that it's going to be, remastered, not just remastered, but remade, they said, from the ground up, whatever that means, for next-gen consoles, specifically, though, exclusive to PlayStation 5 and PC. There is a rumor floating around, I don't know how credible it is, that it's only exclusive to the PlayStation 5 at launch, but then will eventually make its way over. I don't necessarily have the space in my budget for a PlayStation 5 yet, but,
Yeah, fix your roof
we'll
first.
see how long this takes. We'll see how long this takes to come out. What's one hope you have for the remake, Freddie?
A lot of people kept talking about how they want to change the gameplay, or not the gameplay, the fighting mechanics.
Yeah, the combat.
Yeah, the combat, exactly. But I have to be honest. I feel like the original combat, and someone mentioned it also on, and this is our. I'm not even sure. It was our little dress rehearsal, right? So no one really saw this.
Not yet.
Not yet. But someone mentioned that the gameplay reminds them of like a D20 game, right? Like a role playing game, which I'm totally for. So
right.
I'd like to just see a tweak on graphics. Graphics, the art of Revan's high rendered HD face was amazing. So I can only imagine what that game would look like in today's video game graphics standards. I think it would just be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, that's all they showed. It was basically like, one step up from a poster. They could have just shown us a logo, but instead we got a little bit of footage of Revan looking slick.
Slick.
That's right, looking fly. And as he did so, it kind of made us think, well, is it even a he? Who's under that helmet? Because that was kind of the fun in the game, is you create your own character, and you don't exactly know who's under the helmet. And so it's a lot of fun to consider how this game could make some shifts going into the next generation. The one thing with combat that I hope they really preserve, which was this: if you had you're starting out in the game, it's probably where Rick's at this point. like a vibro sword before you get your lightsaber, and you're in the dueling ring, you're hacking away at the enemies, you would just hack the snot out of your opponent. Whack! Whack! And it was like 10 damage. Nope. Didn't do anything. It's like basically would have sling bladed people's faces right down the middle, and they're just like, not a scratch, bro. Give me your best shot. Is that the worst you can do? And even when you get your lightsaber later in the game, you'll go up against like a savage bug in a cave. And it'll take like 10, 20, 30 hits on certain opponents to take them down. I would like to see something of just how goofy that was preserved. Because, it's kind of the classic charm of the game, right? We're excited about this. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the Discord. What are your hopes for the KOTOR remake? Are you excited to follow along on Rick's journey as he is playing this through for the first time? Freddie, why don't you take us away with the next little bit of Legends news? This is a fun little tidbit, isn't it?
Yeah, this next one is awesome. I'm super excited for this, and I want this in my collection. Why? Because it is the Golden Book Story of the Faithful Wookiee, which is it's taken from the holiday special, I believe. It's got the same Boba Fett with his disintegrator rifle, I believe, and it honestly, I'm super excited to have that on my shelf.
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier today. It's the little Golden Book adaptation of the Boba Fett cartoon from the holiday special. This is the most Legendsy thing ever. That just recently got put now on the Disney Plus, so it's relevant all over again. And also the fact that the rifle is what they use in the Mandalorian. What'd you call it? Pulse phaser.
I think it's like a disintegrating rifle.
It's the one that blows up Jawas, for crying out loud. That's what it is. You know what we're talking about. Plus or minus in this adaptation, Freddie? How many Jawas get disintegrated?
Ooh, I'm hoping at least 5.
I don't know that happened in the cartoon. I watched it recently when we did our episode on it.
One thing I do want to point out is all the pictures that we've seen of the Golden Book so far does not have a Legends banner, so I'm assuming that this is now canon.
I don't think any of the little Golden Books are canon. Oh, my goodness. How about you, our new team members here? Rick, Emily, have you seen the Boba Fett cartoon from the holiday special?
Oh, man.
Not. Rick probably has.
So I've seen it once when I watched the entire holiday special like in one sitting, primarily because I just couldn't move. It's one of those you just can't stop staring. But I don't remember any of the details. So yes, but kind of no.
Oh, it's available on Disney Plus at this point. It only takes, what do you think, Freddie, 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, roughly.
I'll give you this much. There's a plot twist. And it is probably the best thing from the holiday special. You think that's a fair assessment?
I think so. It's fair.
Oh, man.
Well, we've got some fun news with that. Coming up, though, we also have some kind of scary news. Freddie, we both got on the same day a delay on a book that we're really looking forward to. Tell the good folks what happened with the Star Wars Fiction Insider. Messed it up again. The Star Wars Insider Fiction Collection Volume 2.
Yeah, it got delayed. We were supposed to get it sometime this month, and now it's delayed another month. And it's not the only Star Wars Legends book to get delayed. I feel like everything so far. We've gotten a few that have released on time and a few that just seem to just keep getting pushed out.
Well, this happened with the first volume, and we eventually got it. And spoiler alert, we're reading it for an upcoming roundtable for next week. So read it quickly if you want to be in on the roundtable. In fact, I was reading it today, and I've got some kind of weird information to share about this. You guys ready for it to get weird on our first episode back with Legends Lookback?
Always.
Let's do it.
I am going to go on the record and call it the #1 New York Times best smeller. Because this book smells amazing. There's something about, do you like that one, Rick? Rick's the king of dad jokes. I couldn't hear people's laughs in the chat, so I'm just going to assume they were laughing along at home. Did you just now get it?
No, I was laughing silently, Jared. Come on.
Okay. Best smeller because it smells good. All right, open it up. Do it live on air if you've got it,
I've got it here.
lying
Let me
around.
smell it. Let me smell it. See if it's any good.
It's got all right, so there are no used copies of this. It just came out in May.
I bet it
Unless,
does
of course,
smell good compared to,
you've
like, the other one.
got some crazy funks going on at home. This thing, it's pristine, and the paper is just the right quality. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Well, I'm hoping whenever the Volume 2 shows up, whether it's this month, next month, the month after, that it smells at least half as good. The stories in it look good. I'm really enjoying Volume 1. We're going to talk about it more next week. It's weird. It's odd. But at least for us, Freddie and I, our copies got delayed. Now, first time around, Freddie, comic shops still got theirs on the release date. So
Yeah.
there were some copies floating around like over a month before I got mine. So if you're really dedicated, you could probably find it.
Yeah.
But-
yeah, you might be able to find it, but sometimes just waiting for that book to hit you, it feels so good to see it.
Absolutely. Well, we've got another thing that's delayed. However, we've got some artwork to show off. That is the Star Wars Legends Rise of the Sith Omnibus has been delayed to November. I know the good news there is you've got some time to save money because these things are like $100. It is, at least for the KOTOR, it's like I mine sitting right over here. The KOTOR volume is, 1,300 pages, Freddie?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it is 1,300 pages. It's a massive 10-pound book.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And this volume is going to be something similar. It looks like the Marvel Legends Epic Collections are being put out now. They're taking 3 of them and then binding them, bundling them into a hardback, which is ultra collectible. And I'm really excited that they're doing this, especially considering I don't own a ton of the Marvel Legends Epic Collection. So excited to get my hands on these in this volume. Can we talk about the artwork a little bit? We've got 2 different covers for this. The one that Corey so lovingly called Forehead Qui-Gon. It's nothing but Qui-Gon's forehead on the cover. And now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it.
Like a 5-head.
This cover is from... It's a 5-head. That one's almost as bad as my best smellers joke. This one is from the artists Box and Fleming. And I'm sure I messed that up, but you know who you are with the forehead. And then the comic shop cover is the mall cover done by an artist, just Fleming, no Box this time. However, with the KOTOR volume, Freddie, did your cover get changed the first time around?
It did. It did actually. It did change. This cover. So the cover that you're talking about for this Rise of the Sith is probably going to be honestly the most popular selection. I think most people are going to go for this one. It's a beautiful cover and it just fits the title.
The mall cover or the forehead cover?
The mall cover. Sorry.
Yeah.
The forehead cover. I think that's going to be a little rare. You might want to grab one of those just in case.
Yeah, it would make sense if more people went for the mall cover. I mean, he's a very iconic looking character. I love the red and the blue kind of thing it's got going on. It's actually not from the comic itself. As far as I know, it's from like the Young Reader book by Ryder Wyndham. And so they're repurposing this art in kind of an odd way. However, we're warning you right here live on Legends Lookback that it could get changed because it
could.
Before it's finalized, the variant cover got changed the first time around, at least for the KOTOR cover. Yeah, I've got it right here with his beautiful teeth.
Yeah, I'd like to see that on a golden book.
Mommy, what's this?
Halloween
See
special.
in your Barnes and Noble. Yeah, perfect, right in time for Halloween. This book is called The Wrath of Darth Maul. So they're repurposing this cover for the Marvel hardback collection of a Dark Horse collection of comics. Don't you just love Legends? But this is coming out pretty soon. Whenever it comes out, we'll give it a month, 2 or 3, and then we will review it right here on the show. Also, we've got some other hardcovers announced. We don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but the next big hardcover omnibus was just announced a few days ago. The Empire, Volume 1. This one comes out on March the 1st, and it contains a whole bunch of comics. None of them, however, called Empire.
No,
Right?
no, it's all if I remember correctly, it's all Purge and what is the other one? The other Dark Times.
It's got a lot of Dark Times. Maybe all of it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see here. A
Yeah,
lot
so
of
we've
Dark
got-
Times. Yeah, it's very dark.
Yeah. We've got some Republic in there. You've got some Purge comic books from 2005 to looks like 2010 or so.
My-
got
my-
some dark times.
The theory that I've seen going around the internet with these, though, is that they're not naming them, these big omnibuy, based off of the titles that are in them as much as the time period. So, like the KOTOR omnibus, every single issue of Knights of the Old Republic by John Jackson Miller, the title of the omnibus is not Knights of the Old Republic by John Jackson Miller. It is called The Old Republic. But
Yeah.
it doesn't contain any of the issues of The Old Republic. Right, so it gets confusing. But they're naming them after eras, lending themselves, leading into the future where they can just use a Volume 2 or a Volume 3. So I'm going to go ahead and predict it right here. Volume 2 of Empire, whenever that comes out, is going to actually contain some issues of Empire.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for Empire #1 because those Darth Vader comics. I think it's Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison. I really do enjoy that run. I think it's 2012.
I've not read many of these at all. How about you guys? Emily, I know that you haven't read a ton of the comics. Or do I have that wrong? Is it Rick? Have you read any of these issues? This is going to be fun for us to discover.
I have not. I have not read a Star Wars comic, but I'm very much looking forward to it. I got some recommendations, and I will dive in, but I just need a little bit of time. There's a lot of information to start off with, but I'll get there. What about you, Rick?
Yeah, you don't have to read all 1,300 pages of this as your first go-around.
That might be a little much, but I mean, who knows?
So for me, I maybe be like a couple steps ahead of Emily. I've read some comics, but mostly some of the canon, trying to get caught up with some of the newer stuff. But I'm a collector and I'm a sales addict. So all of those good sales we've had over this past year, like Force Day and a Star Wars Day and all that, I ate them up. So I have a huge collection of comics to read, and of course Marvel Unlimited provides you with great access digitally, and I'm starting to get more physical copies too. So it's like that Michael Scott meme from The Office of, got it, I own it, read it, but no, I butchered the line, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Yep. So one of the things I love about Rick is he's like the avid collector who still has a long way to go in terms of actually reading the content. And so that's going to be the fun thing about Legends Lookback is he'll actually have to read these books that he's
I have
been
read
collecting
quite a
for
few
years.
Legends books, especially the big ones, but there's still plenty that I haven't.
The cover artist for Empire, you've got Dave Wilkins and Tsuneo Sanda. Tsuneo Sanda I've got actually one of his original art pieces. It's kind of got like this Japanese style wave around Yoda using the Force to calm the wave.
See, I
on
thought
a
about
rock.
you when I saw his name. I was like, I'm pretty sure Freddy's got something.
He's awesome. I mean, the thing is, a lot of these books are the authors, sorry, not the authors, but the artists on a lot of these omnibuy are fairly big names in the Star Wars comic industry. So, you love to see it.
Absolutely. Yeah, these are both gorgeous. We'll talk about these more on a future episode because we're going long here with the Legends Lookout segment, and it's our first episode returning. We've got so much to talk about. We've been off the air. There's a lot of news to catch up on. One last thing we want to say in the news segment here before we move on into the main show, that is a little bit of somber news and yet kind of a triumph at the same time, and that is the historic Star Wars Books podcast, Jedi Journals, a show that I know that both Freddie and I have loved for a long time, has just concluded with the September 2021 episode. I was listening to it today while I was running. Jay and Chris and Dennis, they've been doing this show for 11 years, Freddie.
Yep. Yeah, and I honestly, I've been listening to them for about 11 years because I started listening to them in their single-digit episodes, like episode number 8 or something like that, and
wow,
I've been listening ever since, and they are a reason why I wanted to do this, and I mean they've 70 author interviews. Can you believe that?
Oh man, well we've got our own spin on doing the Star Wars Books podcast, Star Wars Legends podcast. However, both Freddie and I have been big fans. We're definitely inspired by them, and the recent acquisition segment, hey, that's something that they do. Of course, we're doing it on video, so you can see it in HD, which is something they never did. But, hey, they did 70 author interviews over those 11 years. They had people they even got Aaron Alston before he passed away, which is cool. So we want to say huge tribute, Viking funeral to Legends, what was that show called? To Jedi Journals. We'll shoot our flaming arrows and Barry, you guys on Dathomir. Very happy to have had all the content that you guys have put out all these years, and we are happy to carry on the baton as one of many Star Wars Books podcasts that have followed in their wake. So before we go any further into the show tonight, we're going to take a quick ad break, and when we come back, we're going to continue the crossover event that was begun Monday night on the Living Force, continued Wednesday on the Cosmic Force, talking about the rich history of women in the Star Wars galaxy. And wow, we've done a lot of research going into this episode. I'm very excited to celebrate the ladies behind the scenes of the Legends universe. So let's get to it. This event that we are doing tonight on the show is the third part, as we mentioned, of this three-part crossover event that was begun Monday. It was inspired, the entire idea, and all the credit goes to our friend Emma Park over at the Cosmic Force, of course, filled in for us for a little while there in July and August on Legends Lookback as our producer. Emma had this idea to celebrate the women of the Star Wars galaxy across all the different shows in canon books, in comics, and in Legends as well. I've been really enjoying the event. Haven't listened to all of every episode, but I've listened to parts of both Mondays and Wednesdays. And really love the content that they've put out. Now, I want to ask, why should we do a show like this? Why is it important to highlight the women behind the scenes of the Star Wars galaxy? And I'm going to ask our new female co-host. This is really fun to be able to actually not just have men talking about the women of the Star Wars galaxy. Emily, why do you think it's important that we do a show like this?
I think celebrating female authors is important because they are in the minority still, or we as women in Star Wars fandom in general are still in the minority. And really, the only way you can truly write a woman well is if you are a woman yourself. Like, to truly understand the complexity of being different, and honestly, and just celebrating the diversity of the fandom in general. Like, I just think that celebrating diversity can never be a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And here's the thing, Legends can kind of get looked at as like, oh, well, it was just by dudes for dudes. And sometimes when the women were written, there's basically two main tropes that ladies can fall into in some, though not all, of some of the older Star Wars content, and that is either, well, they are the awesome kind of scrappy girl who loves getting her hands dirty and can totally take any dude in a fight. Or the other trope, which is the love interest for the men. And, of course, one of the things we want to highlight in this, of course, is the fact that there is a lot more nuance. Even in Legends, which, of course, there are these two tropes that can be pitfalls, of course, in storytelling. Nevertheless, we are going to highlight some of the characters. We're going to spend more of our time on this episode talking about the creators behind the scenes in the Legends universe because, of course, we did an episode on the ladies of Legends, the characters themselves. That is episode something. Got in here, episode 25 with Meg back maybe about a year ago. And so that would be a fun one to check out if you want part 4 to this roundtable. Some bonus content. Now, Rick, let me ask you, you're new to the team here. Did you catch our most recent crossover event that we did before, Women in Star Wars?
That you did with Legends Lookback? You mean crossover?
Yeah, Legends Lookback, Cosmic Force, and Living Force. Or was it Living Force? Game Nights. Yeah, Game Nights.
Give me a hint.
A couple months ago. It's got pheromones.
Jeez.
And it's quite the opposite of what you would hope for in a. Let's say it's a little insensitive.
I don't think I did. I was catching up on some of the other shows. I haven't caught all of them, but it's not ringing a bell. Tell me more.
Well, we'll have to
Pretty
send.
sure I bought the hat.
Yeah, Freddie does have a hat. So we did Shadows of the Empire, the
right.
1996 massive crossover event, and we did it across the 3 different shows, us, Cosmic Force, and Game Nights, which was a ton of fun. Now, here's the thing. We wanted to do this because it was a huge multimedia event, and because I had never read it and was excited to experience it for the first time. One of the rare Legends books that I just had been saving, had been waiting to pick up. So I planned this whole thing, took months on this, got lots of different people involved, wrote articles for the site, played through the video game. I even bought the collector's edition Atomic Purple video game. Little did I know, man, this book was super problematic. So Eric jokingly said on the Living Force Monday that, well, our first crossover event was about possibly the most sexist thing Star Wars has ever done. And so this is a much-needed course correction. We'll call it a very different crossover event. Nevertheless, I want to be very clear on the record. I did not know. And I did not know. And it is possible to enjoy the book and to say, there's some things here we would have done differently, some things we don't like, even some things we can call disgusting. Nevertheless, you can still enjoy the story. We're going to celebrate it as a very fun book. It doesn't have to be for everybody, but we are really excited to go a different direction with this crossover event. Isn't that right, Emily?
Oh, yes. It's time.
Did you read it? Did you read Shadows of the Empire?
I did not, but I cringe. Honestly, that has been one of the main reasons why I've kind of avoided Legends, because I feel like there was an era of really all sci-fi and fantasy books where they just didn't do the best job portraying complexity in women. So anyway, I'm just excited for this new era. That's why I mostly stuck with canon.
It will be good to have your perspective when those things come up, and you'll have to call us on it. I do think that you'll be surprised along the way.
I'm
with some
sure
of the female characters. I would say Mon Mothma. All right, here we go. Let's pick our battles here. Mon Mothma is better in Legends than in canon.
100%.
She is more well-rounded. She has more agency. She's better developed. And I don't think she's assassinated. Isn't she assassinated in canon? I don't know. I think that happened. Or maybe it was an attempted assassination. I have to go back and reread all my canon books.
Not just that, but she led an entire rebellion while she was under attack without even realizing she was under attack.
Yeah.
Her body, right, was almost falling apart, and she was still leading the empire, or the empire. The
what kind of revisionist
rebellion.
history is this,
I was just
Freddie?
about to quote, "This attack on my life has left me deformed and scarred," but that's the wrong leader too, so...
Yeah. Well, I think
Mon
you'll be
Mothma.
surprised along the way. And part of the reason for that is there were some amazing female creators in Legends. Now, I'm going to ask, don't look at the show notes here. Look away for a minute. If you've already read them, forget everything you've looked at. I want to just, based on the authors that you know and love, of course, we've got some great Legends authors like A.C. Crispin, Christy Golden, Karen Travis. Of course, there's so many others we're going to talk about. But let me ask you, if you were to just guess, what one female Legends author has written the most Legends books? Who would you, if you were just pulling it off the top of your head without having done any research, who might you guess that it is? Let's start with Freddie.
Well, the earliest that I can remember, at least for now, is the author of my favorite book, Kathy Tyers. And I cannot think of anybody before that.
So Kathy Tyers has only written two full-length adult Legends books, Truce at Bakura. Now, here's the question for you, Freddie, without looking in the notes. Do you know her other book?
What was her other book? I can't think of it at the moment.
It's nowhere near the Truce at Bakura. In fact, it's when you see her on this list, it's kind
Balance
of like,
Point.
oh, right. Why'd she write that one? Yeah, the seventh book in the New Jedi Order. Just she only wrote the one. It is, however, one of the 5 hardcovers. So there's that. There's that.
Yeah.
But no, she does not take the cake as the most prolific Legends writer. How about you, Rick? Who would be your guess?
Well, so I actually did look at the notes, and so I know this, so I don't know if you want me to spoil it now or just let someone else guess.
All right, so let's take yourself back in time like a week ago.
A week ago,
who would you have guessed?
I was one of the many in Star Wars fandom who did not realize that A.C. Crispin was a female, and so I would, now that I know that, my mind's blown, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So I'll say A.C. Crispin.
Well, you're not the only one. There was somebody else on the team. Maybe it was Emma. Yeah,
Right.
The A is Anne. It stands for Anne. I just discovered about her this week, tragically, that she's dead. I didn't know.
Yeah.
She passed away in 2013. So I learned that while watching The Cosmic Force the other day. It's a big surprise to me. I was kind of like, oh, it's like a knife in the gut. Like Rook had just stabbed me or something. Like I could not believe. Some of the best female characters in all of Legends come in her books. I wonder why. It's almost like they were written by a woman, right? Bria Theron, who is kind of the inspiration for, what's Emma what's her name? The main Kira in Solo, right? The kind of rebellious love interest for Han, who's got her own agenda. Of course, we've got the big Barnes and Noble leather-bound hardcover. You ever seen this thing, Emily? I know that
So
like
cool.
the other three of us are kind of big collectors. Have you seen this thing?
No.
So cool. I definitely have that.
That was
It is
beautiful.
just one of my favorite books. Look at Jabba sitting on the back here,
Oh, I would
smoking a
buy
hookah.
that. That's
Well,
gorgeous.
Barnes and Noble. You can use Amazon Youtini affiliate links, even at barnesandnoble.com. Right. Yeah, so A.C. Crispin, I have not read all three in their entirety. I have only done Paradise Snare in its entirety and have done the abridged audiobooks of the other two. So I'm looking forward to actually finish. I've been reading The Hutt Gambit on and off sparingly for like 2 or 3 months. I'm not especially far. Okay, so there's two. Freddie guessed Kathy Tears. Rick's guess retrospectively was A.C. Crispin. She's only wrote the trilogy. So her only Star Wars books were the Han Solo trilogy. It's crazy, crazy. Okay, and Emily, your guess. What female Legends writer would have been, you've read the notes at this point.
I still
Maybe
don't
just ask
have
you
an
this.
answer.
Just pretend.
Which of these
Pretend you didn't
writers
read the notes.
had you even heard of?
Well, that was my answer. Wildly unfair question for someone who is so new. But the last person I remember you guys talking about was Christy Golden, so that's my answer. I feel like you guys talk about her a
Yeah,
lot.
well, she's a canon writer.
Oh, okay. Well,
Sure. So she's
okay.
written
My bad.
she's written several canon books.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the thing. I think a lot of canon fans wouldn't even know that she started in Legends. And so, no, she, however, was not the most prolific. Now, we got the correct answer in the chat. I want to give a huge shout out to our buddy Average Joe. Joe guessed Jude Watson. He's right and he's wrong.
What?
Right? Freddie, why would I say that he's wrong?
Well, I mean, I was honestly shocked that it was Jude Watson because, I mean, Jedi Apprentice, Jedi Quest, and the Last of the Jedi books. And you have it in the chat, and I was thinking about that. I was thinking of Jude Watson or Judy Blundell.
Yeah, Blundell. That's why I said that he's only half right. Because
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Jude Watson isn't her real name. That's a pen
It's
name.
her. It's her.
Pseudonym,
What do you call it? What do you
right?
call it? It's
Yeah.
the pen name or pseudonym.
Oh, there's like another
Exactly.
word
So
for that.
I thought so too. Interestingly, Jude Watson is Judy Blundell. If anyone didn't know
Yeah,
that.
man, she's written not just Star Wars, but in some other franchises as well. I mean, she's an absolute workhorse. She's cranked out so many books to her name, and you don't have to be a huge fan of Legends Lookback to know they are absolutely some of my favorite Star Wars books. That 3 series connectivity, that whole universe that she built up across those young reader books, they are fantastic. She can cram into like 200, 120 pages of this young reader book, so much world building concerning these like new planets that she'll take people to. But outside of the young reader books, the most prolific then following Jude Watson, we've got Rebecca Moesta, who wrote alongside Nancy Ann Richardson, and then her husband, Kevin J. Anderson. She co-wrote the Young Jedi Knights books and the Junior Jedi Knights books. So that puts her up at about 20.
She did a lot of editing as well.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Blowing so many other Star Wars writers out of the water. I mean, even Timothy Zahn, he's written 16, right? Wasn't that the number? 13, 16? It was one of the drunk trivia night questions. I wrote it and have already forgotten the answer. I think it's 16. He's written 16 books. You think about the 30 that Jude Watson has written. Really, really amazing stuff. And besides that, we do have quite a few authors who have written 3. And so both A.C. Crispin, Christy Golden, and Karen Travis.
Yeah.
Karen Travis has written more than 3. So Karen Travis, I believe, then comes in first among adult female writers who've done adult Legends books, right?
Honestly, in my opinion, Karen Travis wrote some of the best war-centric Star Wars books with the Republic Commando books.
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to talk more about her in a second, but let's start back chronologically in the early days of Legends with these female creators. First and foremost, a creator I was learning a little bit about the other night on the Cosmic Force is Mary Jo Duffy. She wrote in the original Marvel Star Wars run. Rick, you mentioned that you've done Marvel Unlimited. You ever touched into this old school stuff? The
Not yet. I'm
1977
excited to.
series? It's wacky. There's Hoojibs. There's Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of Jackson. our buddy Jose's favorite Star Wars character. Well, she wrote every single issue from issue 70 onward. What's like maybe 2+ years could be 3 years that she wrote on the mainline Marvel series. So one of the original EU writers was a woman, and I would say one of the most underrated, somebody who's never talked about. Had you even heard of her prior to this, Freddie?
No, honestly, I haven't.
And I would say most notably, in terms of her contribution to the larger Legends universe, she brought back Shira Bree, who was like Luke's girlfriend from earlier in the series, a little love
One of his
interest.
many.
She's like, you know what? We're gonna bring back. Yeah, he's got a lot of love interests in Legends. She brings back one of her first moves as a writer is to bring back Luke's ex-girlfriend and turn her into the Dark Lady of the Sith with a light whip. Yeah, yeah. Talk about some female rage. Yeah, man. Lumaya, one of the coolest female characters for sure. So Mary Jo Duffy, hats off to you as we want to revive the interest in her as a Legends storyteller. And then secondly, the only other comics creator that we will talk about is Jan Duursema, who wrote alongside John Ostrander. For my money, one of the absolute best Star Wars creators there ever was. Co-created the characters Ayla Secura, Quinlan Voss. She worked on the Republic series, Legacy, as well as many other Star Wars projects. I've got a little piece that I've written for the site that hasn't gone live yet, all about her and her contribution. Freddie, you're a big Duursema fan?
Oh yeah, man. Especially Duursema's art and her storytelling in comics. It's first of all, it's hands down. Jan Duursema is one of my favorites when it comes to that content. I enjoy it every single time.
We think about her being a comics artist, but she's more than that, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, she doesn't do just art. She does, she does everything. It feels like.
Right. Well, you think about comics creators. They work, especially during kind of this period, the early to mid, late 2000s. Worked. I guess we just call it the 2000s. Early, mid, and late 2000s. Work very much in tandem with the writer, and so they're developing story together. And so you think about the writer is not just a writer; they're helping create the visuals in their mind that they then transfer to the writer. But then the illustrator is also having a huge effect on the story as well. So definitely love what she's been doing. She's even been contributing on some High Republic covers. I was sorting through my stacks the other night to see if I've got her autograph, and I can't find it. So that's bugging me. That's going to have to change. We talked about the creators in comics with Mary Jo Duffy and Jan Duursema. We've talked about the young reader creators with the writers Jude Watson and Rebecca Moesta. Let's talk about some of the adult novelists, the writers on adult novels. There's got to be a better way to say this. The full-length adult stuff, not adult in that kind of a way.
I don't know.
The full-length stuff. All right, well, your pick on who you thought was the most prolific, Rick, was A.C. Crispin. A.C. Crispin, she's not the only Legends creator who has written a trilogy. In fact, we've got three women who have written a trilogy of Star Wars books. That is, 3 from the same series, though not necessarily a complete cohesive trilogy. Now, here's what I mean. Christy Golden wrote 1/3 of the Fate of the Jedi series. Now, Emily, you mentioned you'd heard of her before, right?
Yes.
But she also wrote in canon Dark Disciple, right? The Quinlan Voss Asajj Ventress book.
Mm-hmm.
As well as, what's her other one? Do you guys know? There's at least one more. One of the Battlefront books? We're the Legends podcast, clearly. She also, however, has written, and as that's the case with most of these women, a handful of short stories as well. And so little Star Wars Insider contributions. In fact, have you noticed? We'll see how far you guys are in your read-through of the Star Wars Insider Fiction Collection Volume 1. She wrote the Jag and Jaina Solo, what are their last names? Legends, you're killing me here. Jag and Jaina go on their honeymoon, and they get ambushed by, bounty hunters, right? Mm-hmm. She wrote that story, which I think is one of the better ones in the book, which is cool. She wrote 1/3 of the Fate of the Jedi series, kind of filling in after Karen Traviss had left the lineup after having written the Legacy of the Force series. So tell us a little bit, Freddie, about Karen Traviss.
Yeah, so Karen Travis, so in my opinion, has written some of the most war-centric Star Wars books. I mean, I know we've got the X-Wing books, but that takes you into the pilot version of war. But these Republic Commando books, and she had a whole lineup, and unfortunately, it just didn't go the right path, and that series didn't quite get finished, which always hurts a little bit. But at least we have a little bit of closure with her blog, I guess, her website, on her thoughts on how.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with both Christy Golden and Karen Travis. They both had Legends books that were canceled.
Yeah.
Not because they did anything egregious, but because publishing. There's always contracts, and you're working with other creatives, and sometimes the visions conflict. And Karen Travis, of course, had hit the floor. I think 2 or 3 different books. The one most infamously would be Imperial Commando 2.
Yes.
In which on her site she kind of gives like the plot of what she was going to do with that. So there's a way to tie up that loose end for sure. She wrote 1/3 of the Legacy of the Force series. For my money, one of my top 10 Legends books, which is Legacy of the Force Book 2, Bloodlines, the one with I call it the Christmas Boba Fett cover, right? Because it's red and green.
Not Hot Dog Boba Fett.
Not Hot Dog Boba Fett, Christmas Boba Fett. It's a different Boba Fett, right? And now here's a fun little game. If you guys aren't looking at the notes, Karen Travis, of course, is most famous for having written the Republic Commando books. We just talked about the fact that she has also written 1/3 of the Legacy of the Force series. She wrote every third book on this rotating cycle of authors. 3 authors on each of these series did 3 books apiece. She's written 2 other full-length adult novels in Legends. Do you know what they are? Karen Travis has written prolifically the Republic Commando series and Legacy of the Force. What else did she write for Star Wars?
Let me
Wild
see.
guess. There's no wrong answers because clearly you have no way of knowing this.
You know what's funny?
Rick is looking at his shelves.
You
No
said I'd
cheating,
look
Rick.
at the notes.
I'm looking at the chat. Average Joe, you got me.
Oh, man, I can't think of anything outside of Republic Commando, Legacy of the Force.
Okay, yeah, Average Joe's got one, the Clone Wars novelization.
Okay.
So we're thinking about somebody who writes these militaristic, gritty,
Yeah.
edgy books, and then she wrote the adaptation of the,
Practical.
very goofy, that the movie itself was kind of some of the goofier Clone Wars that they did. They had to find their way. She adapted that into, as a novel, which was amazing to think about. Definitely one of the kind of more obscure facts about Legends that Karen Travis, this prolific war writer, adapted the Clone Wars cartoon into
That's right.
a book.
Okay. Just to add on to that, I'm trying to remember where Karen Travis, where I've seen her before, right? Not just Star Wars, Gears of War and Halo.
Yeah.
She's also written those books, so she understands war.
Well, I think our buddy Tim, Taco Tim, has been reading her Halo books, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent writer. She stirred up a lot of angst, man, for a woman to anger as many fanboys as she has. It's really quite the accomplishment, and it's not for the fact that she has written female characters that are upsetting to men, which is often the case, right? It's that she has written such strong men. So it's really interesting, her angle as a writer. And we're thinking about the male-female perspective here. I think she's written the most complex, both hardcore and sensitive men in all of Star Wars, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. At least
Also, go ahead.
that's what you gather from the Republic Commandos, right? They all have their own unique characteristic and their empathy with it,
My favorite thing that she has created is... now, Emily, Rick, if you guys haven't read these books, you're going to think I'm lying here. Tell me if it sounds like I'm making this up. She wrote a hermaphroditic flying 6-legged dog.
All right.
Does that sound...
It's Legends.
Does that sound
Anything
real?
goes, right?
This is why I wanted to be on this show. Because what?
Yeah, the best character in all of Star Wars.
Oh
Absolutely.
my
Murd
goodness.
or Murd? Absolutely.
Murd.
You're welcome to join the Murd fan club.
How do you spell
Murd
that?
the bird dog. Myrd. That's
so
a good
does that
question.
make
Thank you for
does
asking.
that make fans of murders or murderers?
Oh, there it is. I told you he's got the
What I'm
dad
here
jokes,
for.
yo. I told you. Karen Travis has written one other adult full-length Star Wars book. Average Joe in the chat gives us one more shout-out, which is right, but it's a novella. That's Boba Fett, A Practical Man. It's like a 100-page novella, not a full-length novel. Her other full-length novel is one of those random kind of one-off Clone Wars books. Clone Wars No Prisoners
Oh yeah.
So,
is her other
question:
one. Go ahead.
Are all of her books in that same era? If they're talking Republic Commando, Clone Wars, and No Prisoners, are those all right there together on the timeline?
They're in the same
Right.
era because they're Clone Wars. The TV show doesn't
That's
quite
true.
fit the same continuity, and she tried in her novel
Okay,
to make
okay.
it fit.
Yeah.
And No Prisoners is a good book. It's like a Rex
Hmm.
Ahsoka book. It's not quite in line with the Republic Commando.
I
books.
see.
It's kind of doing its own thing. And then the Legacy of the Force series is way on the other end of the timeline.
Oh, okay. That's
right?
true. That's
what do you
true.
think the timeline placement is for that, Freddie? Like
Yeah.
30, 40 after the Battle of Yavin?
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so.
But she carries forth a couple of
Nice.
characters from her Republic Commando series. Right, a couple of the Mandos. At one point, Jaina goes over to hang out with Boba Fett and learns how to fight dirty like a Mando, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Now, there's one other great Karen of Legends. And I don't mean this in a Karen of Karen kind of way. There's two great Karens of Legends, Karen Travis, and then the lesser-known Karen, Karen Miller. Emily, why don't you tell us a little bit about Karen Miller?
So she wrote some Clone Wars books, Wild Space and Gambit Siege, Gambit Stealth, and then 2 other short stories.
Right, she wrote this little duology. Have you read these, Freddie?
I have not. I have not read those yet. I'm looking at them, and I've got them somewhere in one of my shelves.
They're absolutely some of the most underrated Legends books. Her Clone Wars books are exceptional. Don't have to know me very well at all to know that Clone Wars Wild Space is one of my top 10 favorite Legends books. We're noticing that a lot of my top 10 favorite Legends books have come from some of these female authors. Clone Wars Wild Space is the Obi-Wan and Bail Organa buddy cop book.
Yep, it's so good.
So amazing. Episode 3 or 4 of Legends Look Back, we did that one with Eric, which was a ton of fun. And but then the Gambit Siege and Gambit Stealth books are like Anakin and Obi-Wan taking down against like a biological weapon. There's like a manufactured deadly virus. Really a good read right now during the pandemic, that's for sure. That's right. You really want the Jedi to eliminate the deadly plague. The 2 great Karens of Legends. We need to get like a business card or like a trophy sent to them. The 2 great Karens of Star Wars Legends. Rick, as the producer, I'll let you handle that. While you're on it, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the women who wrote, kind of the one-hit wonders of Legends? So women who wrote like only 1 or 2 full-length Star Wars books.
Let's see. This is for me, right?
Yeah.
So Kathy Tyers. Let's see. Martha
That's one.
Wells.
Yep. Yeah, she wrote. She just came back recently for something in canon. I can't remember. She wrote Razor's Edge, the Princess
Trying to
Leia
think.
book.
Oh, gosh, I want to cheat so bad. All right, who am I forgetting?
You're doing well.
Oh,
you're doing
come
well.
on.
There's not sure if you can remember the author of it, it's
Oh,
it's one
oh.
of the best names in my opinion. Crystal
Oh,
Star.
yeah. Is that Barbara?
Sounds
Oh.
like Rhonda.
There's a Barbara.
There is a Barbara. There is
okay,
a Barbara.
No.
Yep.
I'm blanking.
There is a Barbara. Yeah.
You've got Vonda
okay.
McIntyre.
I wasn't
who-
trying to put you on the spot. I
Oh.
was just going to let you read it out of the show notes, but you're welcome
know,
to
I was
just try
like,
to pull
wow.
it off the
Sorry.
top of your
Well,
head.
here, I can pull up the show notes and keep it going.
Way better.
I was just trying to keep myself from, monologuing, but
I
I
liked
enjoyed
Rick's
watching
way.
you squirm. I really did. Yeah, you take it away, Freddie.
Yeah,
Give him a second to
Vonda-
pull it up.
Vonda McIntyre wrote The Crystal Star. I'm not sure if you guys have read that book yet. Emily, I'm not sure. You probably have not read it. What about you, Rick? Have you read Crystal
Not
Star
yet. Haven't got to that one yet.
I think that should be Emily's first on Legends Look Back is the Crystal Star. We had somebody request it the other day in Discord.
Really?
We could do that. That'd be fun.
It's notoriously, one of the
weirder ones?
more overlooked Legends books. We'll just call it that.
Overlooked is a great way to put it.
I'm gonna have to find out.
It's just not people's favorite.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh,
people's
well,
favorite.
why do you want to make me start there?
It's because the prank you to Hazy. That's right.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
I've been kind of going through there's this thing, I don't know if you've seen it. It's on this website, Youtini. How do you say it? Youtini. There's this reading order they have that's really great. It's got a few tiers to it. So I've been trying to use that when I get caught up with my Legends reading. So I do think, unfortunately, that some of these are on that third or fourth tier. But they're still great books, I'm sure.
Yeah. But we'll probably get to them
That's
sooner
true.
than you would have if you weren't
Right.
on the Legends show. So we've got Barbara Hambly, who wrote Children of the Jedi and Planet of Twilight, as well as 3 short stories. And then, who else have we not mentioned? Elaine Cunningham wrote New Jedi Order Dark Journey, which is like going back to Hapes, kind of return to the courtship of Princess Leia. And it puts Jaina Solo, speaking of women, it puts Jaina Solo in a love triangle between Prince Isolder, the guy that tried to marry her mom, kid you not, and Zek, the angsty Jedi. I mean, it is just so amazing. It is just a beautiful, wonderful book. And so Elaine Cunningham wrote that one as well. Now, before we close out the show, we want to talk about some of the ladies behind the scenes, and not just the authors or the characters, but there were specifically 3 pillars of
Yes.
the Legends storytelling universe who are behind the scenes, cranking these books out, helping come up with some of the concepts on where the galaxy was going to be headed, specifically the New Jedi Order era, the 2000s. 3 absolute heavy hitters of the expanded universe. Why don't you tell us about the first one, Freddie?
Yeah, so I'm glad we're talking about this because it was one of my first things. It's like behind the scenes, yeah, you've got the authors, but really behind the scenes, you've got the editorial director at Del Rey, Shelley Shapiro, who, basically she orchestrated the whole New Jedi Order, and one of oversaw, actually, Shelley Shapiro was the one that oversaw the shift between canon and Legends. So that's a pretty big deal.
I was actually listening to her interview on Jedi Journals today, kind of trying to give them a tribute as they're going out in style. A few years ago, she talked about what that was like on their show. And so did a great job in saying, we wanted to tell good stories. And the fun thing about that, we're not trying to sideline Legends or eliminate or erase Legends is often the terminology that's used, as much as to say open up storytellers to tell stories with a blank slate. And I actually think that has preserved Legends as an artifact, rather than making every book about trying to retcon what had come before and to make the continuity fit. It let our universe be its own thing. And there's a clean break. And it feels like, it might take you 10 years, but it feels like you could read all the Legends books eventually if you wanted to. It's possible. And so huge shout out to Shelley Shapiro, which is a great Star Wars name, isn't it? Shelley Shapiro.
That really is.
It is.
Emily, tell us about the next of the holy trinity of the editorial team in Legends.
Sure, we've got Sue Rosatoni. She was the executive editor at Lucasfilm Licensing for 20 years and finally retired in 2011.
Wow, 20 years.
Yeah.
And she collaborated in that, it's a long time, she collaborated in that big New Jedi Order planning session. So they brought in somebody from Lucasfilm and then with the Del Rey team, and then James Lucino and the Legends, the New Jedi Order authors, and they all went out to this Chinese restaurant, and that's notoriously where they came up with the name of the Yuuzhan Vong, because there was something on the menu at this Asian restaurant that looked like Yuuzhan Vong. It wasn't exactly, they changed a couple letters, but they were like, what should these villains be called? How about this? Just look right there on the menu. Yeah, so she was involved in that whole decision as well. And Rick, close us out.
We also have Lucy Autry Wilson. It's a cool middle name. Never seen Autry like that, man. And so, director of publishing at Lucasfilm, came up with the idea for a multi-book series longer than a trilogy, which is still I'd say, a lasting legacy. And then named Prince Xizor. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's Xizor. Get it right.
Xizor.
I totally thought it was Xizor too.
Xizor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
You gotta kind of get the spittle going. Absolutely.
Is there
that's where the
universal
pheromones come
Star
from.
Wars pronunciation book that I need to purchase? Is there like a
No.
There's no such thing.
Okay.
Freddie and I disagree on a lot of pronunciations. He puts a little bit more finesse on it than my Mississippi mudmouth. What I typically do, Emily, and here's the tip, is I will go with whatever the pronunciation is in the audiobooks.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And so, not every Legends book has an unabridged audiobook, but most of the characters are eventually mentioned in the unabridged audiobooks. So, like Borskfalia, that one you'll never figure out. But look at all those apostrophes and vowels. What's another good one that's got a really weird pronunciation, Freddie?
Oh,
I mean, Shizor is one
I'll
of them
jump
for
in.
sure.
Thrawn's
Yeah.
full name, Thrawn Yoroto,
Okay.
or something like that, right? Thank you.
Yeah,
Was
that's
it Mark
right.
Thompson who read those?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to think of some of the names that you and I disagree with every time we talk about it, and I can't think of them off the top of my head, but they'll come by.
Coming up next month on our roundtable is Rogue Squadron. How do you pronounce the villain, the first name for Isar?
Oh,
Isan Asard.
You say Yasan.
right.
They say it
Yasan,
differently.
yeah.
Mark Thompson. I can't remember exactly what the pronunciation is. I say Yasani,
Yeah.
and he doesn't pronounce
I
that hard
would
E at
say
the end. Anyway, we got a good one from Jacob here in the chat. Joruis Sabaoth.
That
And
was
so
what
that's
I
the
was
way
thinking
Thompson
of.
says it. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people say Kabouth.
That's what I thought
that's
it
right.
was.
It just hurts me.
And then
That hurts. I can't say it.
yeah, but
Mouth.
that one
Yeah,
I did
stop
listen
it,
to the
Freddie.
audiobook, and that was very helpful. But there aren't audiobooks for every book that I want to read. So now I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. You guys are going to have to help me out.
Yeah, hey, we would love to. In case you can't tell, we love talking about Legends. So
And arguing about
We're the
pronunciation.
people.
I'm in the
and
right
throwing
place.
the new producer under the bus. That's
we're
cool.
the people for you.
Yeah.
Well, we have to throw somebody under the bus.
As a
school bus
Freddie
driver,
and I
I'm
have paid
highly
our
offended.
dues.
We'll take turns.
You are a school bus driver. That's great.
That's true.
Oh my goodness. Well, we've got the holy trinity of the ladies behind the scenes at Legends. I've been dying for a chance to talk about them, haven't you, Freddie?
Yeah, I have, because we always talk about the strong ladies of Legends and the strong ladies of Star Wars, but we have to understand as well that there are some very real strong ladies in the presence in the presence of women in Star Wars is permeating through everything, right? We've got Shmi, we've got all of the powerful politicians and leaders, and obviously it leads into canon and the women of canon as well, and the women of not, we didn't even mention a lot of the comic side of everything
Right.
too, and
Yeah,
they're
we
all
didn't
over the
mention
place.
Ayla Secura or Anya Solo.
Yeah, and so it's great to talk about the women of Star Wars, because it's important to know that it does matter, because if you have, like you said earlier, just a bunch of dudes writing a bunch of things for dudes, it's kind of the same, right? And in order to make things interesting and to make things innovative, you need to bring a different outlook, and
Yeah.
that's why it's important.
Well said, Freddie. Well said. Well, the problem is it becomes reductive, where you reduce women to not characters, but and this can happen, of course, women writing women or women writing men. It can happen anywhere across the spectrum if you reduce a character to an agency in somebody else's plot. Whereas what I love about what we've got going on here in Legends is, there's some pitfalls along the way. There's some traps that authors can fall into, but there are some amazing Legends characters. Let's just give each one of us, let's go around the horn here and give a shout out to one female character in the Legends universe who deserves their 15 seconds of fame on this big crossover event Legends episode, who is one female character that has not been mentioned that we've got to give a shout out to before the episode is over. For more on this, go back and watch and listen to Legends Lookback episode 25. Start us off. Emily, we'll start with you.
So I really enjoyed Bastilla Shan. Do you know how you say that?
Yeah. Shan.
Shan?
I'm sure that Freddie says it wrong.
Sean.
I feel like Sean is a more like Star Warsy way to say that. But I really like her character. I only read her in one book though. So this is all coming from, the Old Republic Revan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But having her be a stay-at-home mom, basically, as a Jedi, and to like survive her husband being on a different planet, could be dead for just years, and she just kind of kept on keeping on. That was pretty inspiring to me as a stay-at-home mom. So I was like, I see you, Bastilla. I'm on your side.
Look at this. I love that perspective. Whereas I read it and I was like, they reduced Bastilla to a stay-at-home mom. You're like, I appreciate that she's a stay-at-home mom Jedi.
You don't ever see it.
She represents me.
I mean, there are no mom Jedi
right.
to begin with, but like, I mean, you have Shmi, and that's about the
Well,
only
yeah,
stay-at-home
it's kind of against the
mom.
rules.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
Not supposed to do that thing. Okay.
I'm going to go
Rick, how about you?
way off the beaten path here. And this isn't a character that, has a lot of, I guess, great traits, but just a character that isn't talked about a lot. And, okay, I'm probably going to say this wrong too, but Admiral Dala from the Jedi Academy trilogy was super interesting to me. And looking at how her name's spelled, is she a clone? Curious. Yeah,
Tassi
two
Dala.
vowels.
Oh, are there two letters next to each other? Two vowels next to each other? That's a red flag for sure. I've never thought about that, Rick. Oh my gosh, you're blowing my mind. Is she a clone? Rick, have you read any of the, like, way later in the timeline Star Wars books? Have you read, like, I don't know if it's Legacy of the Force or Fate of the Jedi? Have you gotten to those yet?
Chronological-ish, and some of those that are whole series I want to read together, so I'm waiting on those.
Yeah. Let me just give you this, Rick. She comes back, man. And she plays a huge role in one of those
I'm excited.
big 9-book series. A huge role. Oh, it's juicy stuff. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for you. Okay, Freddie, who's your pick?
I'm gonna smell the book real quick.
Yes, do it.
It's got this nice papyrus, dusty, a little bit of sourness in there. Yeah, that is an old book. True
Freddie's
Sakura.
favorite book.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Definitely number one on my list. So Gariel Captason is, there's a lot of great characters. So there's Mirax, right? You've got Mirax Winter, who's basically the alpha soldier, in my opinion, for the rebellion and for
Princess
for Leia.
Leia's BFF.
Exactly. But to be honest, Gariel Captason is one of my favorites for a couple reasons. She's a very strong character. I believe she's a governor or some sort of political head in I can't remember the name of the planet. Senator.
Something like that.
Bakura. What am I talking about? So anyway, she has a sort of love interest with Luke, but she also realizes that if she does that, she's being irresponsible, and she basically tells Luke, like, "Look, I got to take care of my people."
Yeah, imagine saying no to like the most famous man in the galaxy.
Yeah, I've always, and the way they explain who she is, right? She's got, I believe, like gray eyes, and it's crazy. And she was my first crush when I was growing up reading it too. So
the gray-eyed senator that rejects Luke Skywalker. That was your pick.
Oh, totally.
That's amazing. We're learning so much about Freddie tonight.
Seriously,
that's great.
That sounds like a good prompt for a future show.
Wait, who's your Legends crush?
Yeah. Well, maybe right now. Would that be something we could talk about on the?
That is, write it down. That is great. This episode's going long, so not tonight, but eventually. My pick, very briefly, very drastically different than Freddie's, rather than somebody that I was attracted to, is a bearable, so somebody who could eat me. Leia's Jedi Master, Saba I can't even say this at the very end of the show here. Saba Sabatine. She's like a kind of a reptilian, similar family to the Trandoshans, but she's this Jedi Master that Luke discovers. She's got her own colony of Jedi younglings, hatchlings that she's raised out of their eggs, and then she comes in, becomes part of the new Jedi Order, Jedi Council, one of the masters on the council. She trains Leia as a Jedi. She is absolutely one of the most capable, confident, entertaining. She's motherly and also an excellent warrior, and totally will like rip your arm out of your socket. I could talk about her all day, apparently. Oh my goodness. Plus, in the audiobooks, Mark Thompson's voice for her. Let's see if I can do it. All right, here we go. I'm Saba Sabatine. All right, that was a mistake. Anyway, it's very guttural and gnarly. It's unbelievably cool. Wow, wish I hadn't done that. You know what I am glad that I did do, however, is this episode of Legends Lookback. This has been a ton of fun. Very excited to have the new team here as we're moving forward. Lots of great things planned in the future. The good news about taking 2 months off is, hey, we have got all kinds of fun things coming up in the pipeline. Now, Rick, can you show off the graphic that has our next 2 upcoming roundtables for the good folks to see what's going to be coming their way? We're going to do as good a job as possible in getting this out to you guys 2-3 months ahead of time so that you can read along with us if you want. Next up, we've got the Star Wars Insider, the Fiction Collection Roundtable. I've never once said this title right, have I, Freddie?
Star Wars Insider, I'm the Star Wars Insider Fiction Collection Volume 1. Is that right?
Well, you missed a "the," right? And I don't the Fiction
possibly.
Collection. Anyway, it's the first one. It smells good. You're going to love it. We're going to have Eric joining us next week. Was just talking with him about it the other day. And then after that, in October. When in October? We don't know yet. But in October, we're going to review the new Rogue Squadron audiobook. Yes, Freddie and I talked about the book 2 years ago. However, our quality's a lot better. We can do a better job. We've got new team members, and we're excited to share this with them. Plus, we've got a new audiobook to talk about. And I am loving listening to this. Tell you what, going out for a run while listening to some X-Wing battles, increase your mile time by at least 5 seconds a mile, or more if you're faster. Are you a runner, Rick? You grunted. Just
Yeah, correct. I'm not a runner, but I was just thinking about. I was visualizing myself, banking left while running and just like running into a stop sign or something. So not good for me.
I was visualizing you listening to this while you're driving the bus
that's a good one. Just whipping through those railroad crossings.
Yeah. Get off, kids!
All power to the forward shields! All power to the forward shields!
Yeah, well. You would be like the most famous bus driver.
That's
in
the thing. I don't know if
Texas,
Northeast
that's for
Texas
sure.
is the right market for that. So
Probably not. Well, that does it for this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for Legends Look Back. Thanks to everybody who's been hanging out with us here in the chat. Hey, it's been a long show. We've had a lot to talk about, and we are really excited that we have had you along the ride here for us. Huge thanks to Emma from the Cosmic Force in helping, conceptualize this crossover event. We hope we did it justice. If not, well, we can go on for another 2 hours, apparently, if we need to. I cut a lot of content from this episode due to time. Well, we're really excited that you brought this into fruition, and we're happy to get to celebrate the ladies behind the scenes in Legends. We also want to thank our incredible patrons for your amazing support. We love making this show, and we're going to keep making it for as long as possible. We're glad that you're along for the ride. A special thank you to Cheryl Bell, Jeremy Kazina, I've got to figure out Jeremy's name. Jeremy, to Patrick Ortiz, Carl Sander, OK Indar on our Jedi High Council, Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Sally and Chris Eilerson, and yo boy, Freddie C. on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. If you'd like your thoughts around the show, you can email us at legendslookback@youtini.com. You can send us a message in the Legends Look Back Discord channel, and woo, has it been popping lately. You can also leave a comment on this episode on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter at Legends Look Back. You can find me. I'm at Jared Q. Mace. Freddie?
At
Rick
Wake Up Freddy.
_ Grace.
Rick. And Emily.
At Dark Daybeck.
Excellent. If you're looking to buy some of these books, such as for our upcoming roundtables, the Star Wars Insider, the Fiction Collection Volume 1, or hey, Volume 2, just skip Volume 1. Get that Volume 2 pre-ordered and see if it gets delayed or not. Well, you can go on over to youtini.com, click the Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all kinds of links in the profile. You can give us a few cents to help keep the lights on. While you're there, you can leave us a review, or maybe after you've read the book, you can leave us a review and let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, keep the Youtini fan code and be a force for positivity in the fandom. See you next week. May the force be with you.
This is a Youtini broadcast.